I'm Dr. Kimberly Manning.
And this is Dr. Ashley McMullen. And you're listening to the Human Doctor Podcast, where we explore the human side of medicine, along with teaching, living, learning, and all things in between. Using the power of storytelling, conversation, and connectedness.
Hey, we're two dope academic internal medicine doctors, but we ain't your doctors. So if you perceive anything we say here as medical advice, no, it ain't that. Also, the things we say, they only reflect our brilliant Black woman magic mind and not our employers.
You could have been anywhere, y'all, but you chose to be here with us, and we appreciate you. Let's go.
This meeting is being recorded.
Yep, for the last episode of the season.
I know, that's right. People are like, wait, is this the first episode of the season? Because y'all been gone for a couple of weeks.
Look, y'all, this is a two-person operation.
I know we tried to explain, look, the team is literally the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
And by the two of us, I mean Ashley. Yes. But we are moving into the really busy season for onboarding new residents and medical students. And so we just kind of given a spoiler that this episode is going to close out this season. What season is this?
8.
Is it really?
8.
Dang, 8 seasons is solid. Woo, well, let me see. The last time I saw you was when we were strolling arm in arm through Oaktown.
Oh my God. Look, that day, every day in Oakland is wonderful, but that day in particular stood out to me. Because of course the weather was perfect, but I feel like Jules and Mahalia got so much attention.
Oh my gosh, y'all, listeners, kings, queens, non-binary royalty. Look, y'all would have been so proud of us. So I want to just frame it out for you.
Yeah.
So let me back up and say, right after we did the SGIM meeting, the very next day, I flew out to San Francisco for the American Thoracic Society International Conference, where I was the keynote opening speaker. Amazing experience. The pulmonologist did not boo me. I'm so happy. My girl Ashley came to support me. The two general internist crashers, and everything about that experience was amazing. So shout out to ATS and everybody, particularly the staff at ATS. They were exceptional. But I could not be in San Francisco and this time not make the time to take the trip over to Oakland, which Ashley is very clear is a very distinct and separate place from San Francisco weather-wise. And I have to say, as much as I hate on that was actually true.
Yeah, thank you.
So I caught an Uber for $700 over to Oakland. And y'all, the weather, I mean, the sky was as blue as a sky can get. There was not a single cloud in it. And we are walking along Lake Merritt, right?
Yep.
And it's like people laying out on the grass reading, 2 people facing each other cuddling, somebody throwing a stick to their dog and their dog catching it. It was just like something out of a corny movie, right?
It was a vibe. It's a vibe.
It was a vibe, but look, y'all, the whole time we were walking, Ashley is pointing out all of the tree situation. She's like, well, now this is a redwood. Now this, let me tell you the backstory on this. They call this a strawberry tree, but those aren't really strawberries. See, I was listening. I was a good learner.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I got through. I love it.
But it was really, really, really awesome. Yeah. And we even went to a bookstore, y'all. Yeah, we went to a bookstore.
Yeah, not just any bookstore, but Cleo's.
We went to Cleo's bookstore. When Cleo's bookstore, y'all, has books that have been pre-owned, but they also have spirits for the grown folk.
Yep.
So you can come up in there, grab a book off the shelf, and also grab you a mezcal old fashioned, which is what
Or
we,
whiskey old fashioned, if that's your
or with,
choice.
I
It's a
mean,
full service bar.
or no alcohol if that's your choice, because we have to normalize not drinking. You
True,
know,
true.
gotta normalize that. So that was awesome. And then after that, we strolled down the street some more and slid into this dive Thai spot,
Hmm.
and the food was delicious.
Yeah,
It was awesome.
yeah.
It was a good time, man.
A good little day, man. I was so excited to show you my neighborhood.
I loved your apartment. It was beautiful.
Thank you.
Walked in, and the first person I saw was Uncle Jimmy on the wall.
Otherwise, that
Jane,
is
Jane, Jane. Oh,
James Baldwin.
I was like, not Uncle Jimmy as the first person I see on the wall. What's up, Uncle Jimmy?
Yep, yep.
So yeah, it's about to be it's about to be a vibe when you walk in and the first thing you see is James Baldwin with a quote under it. Yeah, it was good stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you for your hospitality.
man, I'm so glad that you came. You got to come back.
Yeah, I will definitely come back because now I know where you stay. Um, okay, I have more updates. So you
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, congratulations, now mom of two high school graduates. I was, just living vicariously through your photos, particularly the brunch spread y'all had at home. Like,
okay, so secretly, not so secretly, I don't actually necessarily love entertaining at my home.
mm,
Like, I love to go to your home and you entertain. If you invite me, I'm coming. I'm gonna be on time. I'm gonna ask you what can I bring, all the things. I got home training.
okay.
But when it comes to my own home, I should say I don't like entertaining in the current state of my life, which involves me being married to somebody who is a military person who is all about the order. So, Harry has a standard that the house and all the things surrounding the house must have
Hmm.
before we can invite guests.
Hmm.
And that standard always involves me doing more than I really am looking to do. Um, I just want to fast forward to the fun.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, but no, that's not him. So, um, Zachary graduated on a Thursday, and then we had a lot of family in town. And every year, usually for Memorial Day, we cook out on that Sunday in Cleveland. But because the family was here, we still did the cookout on the Sunday, but we had something for graduation too. That was
Hmm.
the brunch.
Okay.
So I was at least able to convince my husband to cater the brunch
Hmm.
because he likes to cook. And he be needing a sous chef. I'm not interested in being your sous chef. I'm not interested in none of that.
Come on
Like,
now.
let's outsource that whole doggone thing. And then he's like, "Oh, I need you to do this. Oh, we need to pressure wash this." I'm like, "What?" So yeah, we had a wonderful brunch. It was amazing. And
Mhm.
then we had a big cookout, and yeah, I made the mac and cheese per usual,
There we go.
and I made candied yams this year.
Remind me, you don't eat cheese. Is that
At all.
true?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Just wanted to
No.
circle back on that as the one who makes the mac and cheese but doesn't eat
Yes,
it.
yes, because it smells like feet, and I can't bring it to my mouth. I can eat it on a pizza. It's not lactose intolerance, y'all. It's just as a kid, I've never eaten cheese. And then when I got old enough to actually think I'd be willing to try it, I
Mhm.
realized how fattening it is. And I'm like, it's actually to my benefit that I don't like cheese.
Yeah, just leave the rest of us in the dust.
But my mac and cheese is, I mean, across the board, everybody tells me that it is beast mode and probably the best macaroni and cheese they've ever had. I've
Really.
I've
And
never tasted it. I
so,
have a recipe.
okay.
It is reproducible. I have given it to my friends, and I said, it's called Who's the Mac and cheese. Because every time I make it, it is gone, and people say, Who made the mac? Every single time.
That's just
And I say,
fascinating.
and I point at myself and I say, Who's the Mac?
Then you've never had a bite of it.
Not a single bite.
Okay.
Never even tasted it.
Great.
But, as you know, I learned how to make it because I was trying to get Mr. Manning to marry me. Um, oh, I have a recommendation.
Okay.
Did you watch Forever on Netflix?
No, I've heard some of the chatter around it, but I haven't actually watched it, nor have I actually looked at the plot. So I'm all ears.
I'm so obsessed. So,
Really?
Mara Brock Akil, who did Girlfriends, that
Mhm.
series,
Oh,
back in the
yes.
day, she's a Delta. Woo. Uh, not that you asked.
Sure didn't, but good to
Uh,
know.
um, but it is based on the book Forever by Judy Blume.
Hmm.
Explores the story of two teens who are kind of each other's first love, first everything.
Mhm.
But it's her modern take on it, and it features Black youth.
Hmm.
And it is so well done. One of the cool things about it is probably other than one person, just nobody's really a big star in it.
Mhm.
So it's a lot of breakout performances for people. I'm sure they've been in something, but nobody in anything that like makes them readily like I'm sure these people can all walk into the grocery store and go buy a pint of milk, with nobody stopping them. At least now they will get stopped. But Wood Harris, though, who's been in quite a few things. I don't know if you know of Wood Harris, but he's been in a lot of stuff. But he was in it. He is the only person I recognized in it. It is set in LA, kind of around Baldwin Hills
Mhm.
and throughout. So if you're from LA, all of it is super familiar and so cute. And all the ups and downs of a first relationship, I mean, especially when you're young and stupid. Um, and with like your parents sort of peppered into it,
Mhm.
um, is this movie. I mean, or it's a short series. It's like 8 episodes.
Okay.
Now, let me be very clear. I acknowledge that, if your lived experience with your relationships when you were a teenager was that you were queer and you were like, you couldn't tell your family and they weren't all in your business. So, and then like that in itself is a beautiful story to be told too. That is not this story.
Okay.
Story, these kids are cishet and, but, there's some parts of it that I think explore people having sort of ownership of their narrative, how things are, just double standards when it comes to men and to women,
Mm.
how somebody can say something about a woman and it destroys her, but like the dude just keeps on living his best life.
Mhm.
It was so good that when I got to the end of it, I missed the characters and I started it over. And
Wow.
I don't even watch TV like that.
Yeah. No, that says a lot.
Yeah, I haven't felt that way since I watched Ted Lasso.
Interesting. Okay.
It's just all of it feels so familiar, especially it being set in LA. I'm like, oh
Exactly.
my gosh, I
Yeah.
know this, I know this, I know this.
Yeah.
And I had a high school sweetheart
Mhm.
that I was very much in love with. We didn't do as much as they was doing, but let me be clear on that. But
Yeah.
it just was, I don't know. And it
Yeah.
was just beautiful seeing
Mhm.
our families and our kids just on this big screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't about nobody doing anything racist or us, being, it wasn't about, it was just a love story and it
Yeah.
could have been anybody. So
I love that.
I
Well, I have
have
one recommendation as well.
hit me.
And if we didn't say it in the beginning, let me first start out by saying Happy Pride Month. Um,
Happy Pride Month.
yes, definitely
Yes.
feeling that and feeling the need to reaffirm that, especially this year, but every year. I watched for the first time, and I know I'm always late to these things, but I watched Rustin this weekend.
Oh, okay. I've watched that before.
You watched that one? Yeah.
I did.
So again, forgive me all if I'm late to the game, but hopefully folks have known the backstory of, Bayard Rustin, who was the architect of the March on Washington, very close confidant for Martin Luther King. You know, couldn't be like as open for as far as safety in terms of his sexuality, but what I love about it is that he wasn't ashamed of it. Um, and that's, I think, influenced his conviction around what was right and what was wrong, and like,
Mm.
let's treat people like humans and affirm everybody and their
Mhm.
humanity.
That part.
And I just really loved the way the movie depicted so much of that humanity and Coleman Domingo, of course, is such an incredible talent. So if you're like me and you've been lagging on that, go ahead and watch that movie.
Well, actually, that this gives me a time to shout out my wonder twin, David Malebranche, who was the first person to tell me about Bayard Rustin long before the movie came out.
Mm.
Um, he was wearing a T-shirt that had his name on it, and I was like, "What is that?" And it's great to be feel so safe with a friend that you can just ask the dumb questions and they don't judge you. Although David does kind of judge me, uh, but that was when I started going down that rabbit hole. So when the movie came out,
Mm.
um, I really jumped right at it so I would say like added recommendation I would have, not just during Pride Month, but just year round.
Mhm.
One recommendation would be to just like make every month Pride Month, like hold a space for everybody. If you're a cishet mom like me, um, that does not mean that it you should not be curious and open to learning and embracing all the narratives, even the ones that don't line up with yours. So,
Mhm.
David would tell me to tell all of y'all to watch Moonlight
Mhm.
and watch it again.
Yes.
Watch it once, then watch it again because that movie is beautiful.
Yeah. Will be my next assignment. Also, tell David that I want that t shirt. Well, folks, I want to make sure that we end this season in the most incredible, meaningful, and exciting way possible, which is with a story from you, Dr. Manning.
Ashley.
Yeah. Yeah, that was about 3 seconds too late. It is your turn. You're already looking lovely, canary yellow. And I feel like did you cut your hair a little bit? It feels like the sides are
No, the thing is that I'm growing out the shaved side,
yeah,
so
okay.
it's causing it to look different because now this I'm
Yeah, it's
gonna
like
get
this
to a
little
bob. By the time we come back to season 9, I'm gonna have a non-shaved side of my head, hopefully.
well, lots to look forward to.
Hmm.
But for now, Kimberly Manning, keynote speaker of the American Thoracic Society.
Even though she ain't even no pulmonologist.
Exactly.
Where they do that at? Um,
What's the what,
okay.
sis?
The what is root?
Root.
Okay, what comes to mind when you hear the word root?
The first thing that came to mind was my yoga class yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Just trying to work on my warrior 3 pose,
Okay,
which
okay,
is mostly like leaning over, standing on one leg. And
okay.
the teacher is always talking about like envision your leg being rooted to the ground and like,
Ah,
just this kind of groundedness, stability, kind of being within the earth.
I like it. I like it. Root, like root in the earth. Okay.
Mhm.
I thought you was gonna say something about like, I was working out and then my hair sweat and
Yeah.
my
No,
roots got puffy. Like,
nope,
you know,
nope,
that's
nah.
roots. That's roots with an S.
Exactly.
That's not root with a, okay.
That's a different conversation.
Yeah. So what your instructor is describing is, something that's the anchor for something,
Mhm.
where it begins, where it grows from. And I, today I'm thinking about a story and an experience that is really the anchor for and an explanation for why something was happening to me.
Mhm.
I've told you a little bit about this offline before, and when I first told you, I was not. It was still kind of emotionally ripe, so I couldn't really talk about it on the podcast, but I'm gonna do my best
Mhm.
to talk about it. This is like a story within a story. And this goes back probably about a year and a half ago, for the first part of this. I was scheduled to see my primary care doctor for a primary care appointment. And let me just say for the record that even though I'm a general internist and I got to speak to the whole American Thoracic Society, I do not like being a patient. I have never liked being a patient, but it's more than just like in the way that you haha say you don't like being a patient. I
Mhm.
really don't like being a patient. It makes me anxious. It makes me nervous. And oftentimes, it takes a lot to get me to the doctor. I go, but when I go, I'm very reluctant to go. I think if I go and I know exactly what to expect, like let's say if I come in because I have a particular problem or like I have a particular condition, such as I'm pregnant and you're going to do my prenatal visit, and I'm like, okay, I must do this. And even that I didn't like too much. But it's always been a thing that I've made light of. I don't like being a patient. So I would see my primary doctor, then like a year and a half will go by and I'll run into her at some gen med conference and she'd be like, yo, when you gonna see me? I'd be like, oh yeah. So that's been going on for years with us, where she sort of knows that, air quotes, I don't like being a patient. And because I hadn't had, fortunately, to date, any major medical problems, like, I'm not living with diabetes or something that mandates that I come into care regularly, I kind of got away with it, you know?
Mhm.
And so this time a year and a half ago, when I went to see my primary doctor, I, I come in and I see her and we're talking and she's like, "Oh, it's really good to see you." We just do the thing that we always do where we laugh about how I haven't been there. And she was like, "You really do not like being a patient." And I was like, I don't. Doctors make terrible patients. She was like, "Well, people say that, but doctors are just people like anybody else. And if you don't like being a patient, it's probably a root to why you don't like it.
Mm.
Um, you know, have you had, experiences with your family? She knew I had lost my father. She knew my sister had passed away untimely. And I was like, no, it isn't that. Because I don't mind being the family member of somebody at the doctor. I don't have no problem doing that. It's when you're going to take your stethoscope and stick it on my chest that I don't like. So we kept talking, and she just was like, it seems like the reason why you don't like the primary doctor is because it is a blank slate. You don't seem to mind going to do anything that's not a blank slate. But if it's a blank slate, you don't want to do it because you like to know what to expect. Let's try to explore why that is. Now, this is my primary care doctor. I'm like, girl, you're supposed to be looking at my, numbers to see what my risk of coronary artery disease is. You ain't supposed to be doing all this. You is not my therapist. No, anyway. But I think what I have to acknowledge is that she realized she was really taking a trauma-informed
Mm.
approach
Mhm.
to my care, even though here I am, a whole medical doctor on the faculty at the same institution as her, you know, who has means and whose parents are college educated. Like on paper, somebody like me, they would just scoot over that and assume that you have no kind of trauma. So she just kept probing, like,
Mm.
have you ever been in a situation at the doctor where something happened to you and it wasn't what you expected, like where you felt like you should have, like something happened that was a surprise? And as soon as she said it, I just froze. My eyes welled up with tears and I couldn't even talk.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna do my best to tell. So I'm gonna back up to when I was 16. And see, I had mentioned that show forever. I had my little boyfriend in high school. I was a varsity cheerleader. I was captain, and we were a competition team. And right before competition season, we would do tour days. It was very demanding. We would be running, we would be jumping, we would be, doing our routine over and over and over and over again. And, as the captain, I was the choreographer for a lot of it, and
Mhm.
it was a lot. So before school, I would be out there doing that, and then after school. And so, sure enough, I would have on sweaty clothes. And being a young person, I didn't understand that you ain't supposed to be sitting around in sweaty clothes, right? And so I um, developed some vaginal itching and discharge, which, because I was only 16, I didn't understand that that was probably, a yeast infection.
Mhm.
I'd never had a yeast infection before. I'd never had any issue in my genitals. So I just came home and told my mom, like, hey, I'm having this issue. And she was like, okay. And she kind of had this like dancing in her eyes. She's like, I'm going to take you to to the lady doctor, to the woman doctor. And
Hmm.
I'm using the term my mom used, and she was refer to a gynecologist.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay. So my mom takes me to the gynecologist, and I mentioned that I had a boyfriend because at the time I did had a serious boyfriend, but me and my serious boyfriend, we were not sexually active. I was very afraid of ever getting pregnant because there was a lot of teen pregnancy at my high school. And so I was not even coming anywhere close to that. But we spent a lot of time together. We were very, very much into each other. I loved him very much. It was a serious relationship. And so when my mom sends me back with the gynecologist, they sit me on the table and the doctor walks in. And the main thing I remember is that he had a light on his head and the light was on, even though he was just taking the history. He says, "Hey there." And I said, "Hey." And he says, "Where do you go to high school?" That was the first question. I said, "Morningside." Morningside High School is in Inglewood. It is, in a, working poor area that's predominantly Black and Mexican. We had a lot of teen pregnancy there. He just got that. And he said, "Do you have a boyfriend?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "Okay." And I'm told that you're having some discomfort in your genitals. I said, "Yes, sir. I'm having, I described my symptoms." And he said, "Okay, undress from the waist down and we'll be back in." He didn't ask me anything else. He asked
Hmm.
me where I went to school, did I have a boyfriend, and then confirmed the chief complaint. That is
Hmm.
the whole thing probably took 30 seconds.
Hmm.
And so he comes back in with a nurse and you know, again, I'm a kid, and he's like, "Okay, so still got the light on, sitting on a chair in front of me," and I'm like, "Whoa, what is about to happen?" He's like, "Okay, they opened the stirrups." He's like, "Put one foot here and one foot here." I didn't understand how it worked, so the nurse was like putting my legs onto the stirrups, and I'm kind of doing the thing where you push your knees together, even though your heels are on the stirrups,
Yeah.
and they're like trying to pry my knees apart. She's like, we just need you to relax and just scoot down and relax and just open your legs like a little froggy." That's what she kept saying, like a little.
Ugh.
And I was like, okay. And she's like, and then he says, "Honey, just lay back and open your legs like when you're with your boyfriend." Yep. And I
God.
I I didn't even like, back then I didn't know what a microaggression was. I didn't even I just knew, like, I was like, I knew then that was not a cool thing to say. But I
Oh
was like,
God.
so they finally get my legs open, and I don't have enough agency to be like, "What are y'all doing? What are you about to do?"
Hmm.
So it's like, okay, I'm gonna check you out now. I can already see, I can already see some discharge. I didn't even know what discharge was. I'm not a medical doctor.
Hmm.
You're gonna feel a little bit of pressure. This is just my hand. That's what I hear. And then the next thing I know, this cold speculum gets put inside of me, and he attempts to open the speculum. Now, until that moment, nothing had ever penetrated me in my life. I had never used a tampon. I had never put a finger there. I had never had some accident where something went there. I had never tried to have sex. I had never been penetrated. I had no idea what that felt like. I wasn't like I knew where things were down there, but I wasn't not coming anywhere close to that. It shocked me so bad that I jumped up, and I was so strong, I
Hmm.
was cheering then. So the thing flew out of me across the floor, and it was like ting, 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 ting. It was one of the metal ones.
Yeah.
And him and the nurse looked at each other, and they looked like, "Oh snap."
Hmm.
And I was crying. I was like, "What is going on? What happened? What's going on?"
Mm.
And the nurse said, "You and your boyfriend, do you guys have sex?" And I said, "No, ma'am. No, no, we don't have sex." And the doctor reaches down with the gloved hand, picks up the speculum, and says, "I'll just get a sample off of this."
Oh my God.
They tell me that should be enough. And they told me to get dressed. Nobody said, I'm sorry. Nobody said, oh my God. Oh my goodness, we shouldn't have done that. Oh no. A little bit later, they come back in the room. I'm dressed. And the doctor looks at me and it's like, yeah, so you have a yeast infection and tells me all the anticipatory guidance for that. They tell me they're going to give me a prescription, for it. And then right when I'm getting ready to leave the room, the nurse hands me this brown paper bag. And in the brown paper bag, there were condoms and foam, because that's back when they used to give you foam.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, condoms and foam, for when you're with your boyfriend. Even though I told her that I wasn't having sex. And that was it. And I walked out, and my mom was like, how was it? How was your first visit with the lady doctor,
Mm-hmm.
as she called the gynecologist?
Mm-hmm.
And then you know what I said? It was fine.
Yep.
It was fine. It took me years to realize how much that traumatized me.
Mm.
Because at first I thought I just didn't like going to gyne appointments. Um, but now I know it impacted the entire way I interact with being a patient. And my doctor, I give her so much props because she said, what it means is that you just need more information. We just need to be talking through every single thing and we need to kind of co-create plans together because an unknown doesn't work. So like if I'm going to order labs, I'll be like, I'm ordering these labs. This is what
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at. Because it won't, it will scare me like for you to just order a bunch of stuff and then somebody call me and be like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
uh, your SPEP and UPEP that I randomly ordered on you and didn't tell you. But until that moment, and I'm telling you, I was over 50, it had not occurred to me that that experience when I was 16 had had pretty much shaped the entire way that I deal with any kind of routine appointment, unless it is very specific. And since I'm a doctor, I usually arrive knowing my diagnosis,
Mm-hmm.
but and that was the root. And since then, my interactions with my primary care doctor are so much better because we got to talk about it and it's afforded me a space to get the support that I deserve. And she actually meets me where they should have met me when I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
That was so bad. And
Damn.
I didn't even have I didn't even understand what had happened to me because I was violated. I was penetrated.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's one thing to, have a bad pelvic exam. It's another thing to be virginal and completely unsuspecting of an internal exam
Mm-hmm.
without your mom there, without anybody there, and the only history being, hey, black girl from the hood, do you have a boyfriend? Yes, I do. And that's the history. Because I know you having sex if you go to Morningside and you got a boyfriend. If he would have asked more questions, he would have learned that I was sixth in my high school class, that I was a varsity cheer captain, an honor student, and somebody who was not interested in having sex and who never had sex before she graduated high school.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody asked me. That was fucked
I think
up.
that story is worth holding a little bit of space for. First of all, thank you for bringing that to this space. It's an honor for me to hear and also for the rest of our listeners because stories like this obviously it brings up a lot of emotions. It still manifests a lot of hurt. It's also infuriating. Like it's really Yeah, it makes me really fucking angry. Um, because like, people are so flippant with their power.
Yeah.
And so not just unaware, but uninterested in changing their paradigms. And
Yeah.
that's what makes medicine dangerous. It's not just, the adverse events and, the poor quality or systems-based issues. It's literally looking at a person and deciding that you know everything you need to know
Yep.
without even asking a different
Yep.
question.
Yep.
And that stuff still happens. I know when I was in medical school and, I had an abnormal pap smear and I had to go in for a colposcopy. And
Mm.
I, in med school, I was very much struggling with my sexuality. I hadn't told anybody. I was kind of sort of dating someone, but we weren't having sex. And, that was important to me. And this guy, who I will say, like, maybe asked a few more questions,
Yeah.
just asked, like, are you having sex? And I was just like, no, we're not having sex. And he was just like, okay, kind of with that wink in his eyes,
Mhm.
and wrote me a prescription for birth control that I didn't ask for and sent me home with it anyway.
Mm.
Yeah. The other thing I think you bring up well is just, the fact that your primary care doctor took the time
Mhm.
to address that. I remember reading Gabor Mate's The Myth of Normal.
Mm.
And he speaks a little bit about this in terms of just like our inability to really address trauma before we pathologize people or label them.
Yeah.
She just don't like coming to the doctor. Oh, she just don't like taking medications. Like, no, what's the root of the issue?
Yep.
That takes time and perception to be willing to go there with folks.
Yep. And to just call it what it is, which is
Mm-hmm.
trauma. Because there's so many things that we sort of scoot into, whatever trope we like, oh, doctors make terrible patients. LOL.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think that she was realizing that like this was cute when you were 40, but
Mm-hmm.
you almost 55 years old and we gotta figure out a way to move past whatever it is that's hindering you coming in to see us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was just so liberating to understand that component because I was totally blindsided in that visit. And I'm always scared of that, of like being blindsided, you
Mm-hmm.
know. I know like anytime I have a doctor's appointment, I've like checked my own blood pressure like 100 times beforehand, and I've, done self breast exams and auscultated myself and all kinds of things just because I don't want to walk in and have somebody tell me something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think it all kind of goes back to this experience I had where I sort of came in, blindly trusting.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I don't know, there was no attempt to form a therapeutic alliance with me. It was just like, yeah. And I will say, one of the only positive spin on things that are traumatic is that they make you stronger and then they shape what you do and what you don't do.
Yep. Yep.
Um, I've always, when I do a pelvic exam on somebody, I'm always over explaining everything. I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit right here. This is a weird place for somebody to sit. Let me tell you what I'm looking at. Okay, is this a comfortable position? You tell me this. This is my hand. This is my hand. Okay, this is what I'm about to do. Here, you see this right here? This is what I'm gonna do. Have you ever had this before? You ever had a bad experience?
Mm-hmm.
Um, have you ever had one of these exams before? Have you ever had anything like go into your vagina? Anything? Because I can't assume like you could be 30 years old and if you are a same gender loving woman and you've never been penetrated by anything, I could just kind of come skipping on in there and stick a speculum in you
Mm-hmm.
and it could be just as traumatic as what I experienced.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one thing that's given me a lot of humility. Being at the VA, like almost all of our female veterans, at least within our clinical space, have endured some aspect of sexual trauma,
Mm,
which is absolutely awful and devastating. It pretty much like takes the lid off of, any attempted distinguish who might need a more trauma informed approach. It's just like
right,
everybody is getting this approach.
right. Yeah, and I don't want my everyday routine thing to become a critical incident for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how terrible is that? That
Mm-hmm.
what was an everyday occurrence for them was like a sentinel event for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens every day in the
Yeah,
hospital. And I'm like, if I feel this way, my goodness, what are my patients feeling?
I'm saying, like, yeah, sis, I think about this not infrequently. I was like, God help me. I hope to the extent that I can, please allow me to never be someone who perpetrates something that ends up being the thing that devastates someone over a long period of time.
Yeah. Let the root cause analysis not lead back to me.
No, right?
Let
Let it go to
let me
someone
not be the
else.
cause in the RCA. Yeah, but I do think that, transparency, in the good times and the bad times, if you are a storyteller and if
Mhm,
you aim to try to bring some humanism to medicine and, get people to think and feel. I know this story is not just mine, and that's
mhm,
why I tell it.
mhm,
I know for sure it's somebody else's story, and it looks a little different on them.
mhm,
For them, it might be something else, but there are a lot of people who have endured something that they didn't know was trauma, at the hands of a doctor or a medical facility, only to get good and grown, or maybe even hear this story and realize, like, whoa, wait a minute.
mhm,
So, and it's okay, because I feel much better. I can tell that story now, and I cried, but I cried because I was more crying for 16-year-old me. I want to
mhm,
protect her,
mhm.
um, but I'm not her anymore. I'm older. So in addition to protecting her, I want to protect the ones like her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what we do here, man.
that's what we do, man. So, y'all, we're gonna take a little break for the summer. Um, the Mannings, we about to be in these empty nester streets. Just tell y'all, get ready. We going to Martha's Vineyard. We going on trips. We planes, trains, automobiles, walks, strolls, moonwalks, cartwheels,
Mhm. He
all
walks.
the things. And ain't nobody gonna come and knock on the door and ask for no apple juice. Nobody.
I might, I might take a trip down there.
Oh, okay.
See what
Yeah,
y'all got in the fridge.
we'll open the door for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
But listen, kings, queens, non-binary royalty, those, hopefully everybody who listens to this is celebrating Pride, um, and just celebrating being alive because no day is promised.
Hmm.
And, if you work in healthcare, use this time to just add a human touch to what you're doing because everybody is somebody's N of one, and they count on you to remember that.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah. Well, I love you, sis.
I love you too. I'm gonna miss you over the summer on the podcast. It's not like we ain't gonna talk.
I know I felt some type of way about that. Okay. Yes, I will too. But you know what? We're gonna be back, big and strong and filled, cups filled, and
Hmm.
focused on our wellness. So we hope y'all will do the same because it matters.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Until next time.
Holla.
That wraps up this week's episode of the Human Doctor Podcast.
Special thanks to our favorite brother gastroenterologist, Dr. Chuma Obiname, for the beats. Shout out to the Dr. Ashley McMullen for editing and production.
Mad love to our podcast family at The Nocturnist and the Clinical Problem Solvers, our Med Twitter fam.
And especially shout out to all of you, our listeners.
Until next week, remember,
We see you and you are enough.
holla.
Holla.